Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by the Declan Kelly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's nice to meet you, Pete.
Indeed, and you. And we've chatted before, but first time we've sort of meted, if that's the right question. Bad English there, but it was a good start. So, Declan, tell us, who are you? What are you doing? Where are you from?
Name's Declan Kelly. I'm from Coleraine. Working security. Just on a journey of figuring myself out. I don't really know where I'm at, but we'll figure it out on the way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And what sort of security are you into?
It's just garden, just 12-hour shifts, night shift.
Cool. So, what stage are you at then in your life? What's your fire in your belly today then?
Talking honestly, like see when this opportunity came up, Pete, I jumped at it. Like when we were on that Zoom call together, I seen it and I was like, yes, let's have a chat. Like I find conversations are so powerful. Just one-to-one chats, it's just you can't beat it. And yeah.
So tell me, what does fire in the belly mean to you then? Are you talked about being on a journey. Where are you at now and where are you going to?
Fire in the belly to me personally, it should be a feeling at the bottom of your stomach where you feel sick with excitement and nerves, but everything's lit up around you. You just feel great. You would have a sense of desire and a passion driving through you. But while having a feeling of self-achievement that you're doing the right thing, and that's how I would quickly summarize fire in the belly.
And do you have that today, Declan? I mean, is that something you feel regularly, or what stage are you at?
Honestly, talking in this here like format podcasting, it is something that is a fire in the belly, as you would say.
Yeah. And you find is that your flow state? Is that where you're most at home, if that's the right thing to say?
Sorry, repeat that.
Is that where you find yourself most at home? Do you find yourself in a flow state there?
Yes, when it comes to talking, 100%.
And
it just feels natural. Like I would suffer from social anxiety, but I love pushing through that barrier, and it feels great. I don't know.
So you suffer from social anxiety, and yet here you are in front of a microphone, chatting away.
Do it scares you, Pete. Do it scares you.
Is that something that, does that bring you nicely to the edge of your discomfort? At what point does it tip over to being uncomfortable then for you?
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't care how far it'll go. At this point in my life, I will push myself until I don't believe I can break. I just, at this point in my life now, I feel like I can do anything. It's like I'll do absolutely anything that scares the life out of me.
See, and that's what I love about Fire in the Belly. It's when the mission and the purpose and the vision is so much bigger than you, and bigger than anyone else. It's kind of going, I am the driver of the bus, but the bus is bigger than me and going further and faster, and that's fine, and you're just there to guide and to be part of it. And that's what really sort of strikes me. So you do a bit of podcasting yourself. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I don't do it. I have a goal for it, and I plan to launch it. I just want to have everything right, gain all the knowledge I can, figure out formats, everything, just come out the gate absolutely charging through, and
So what's the plan? When do you want to go live? What's the background to it? What do you want to get out? What's your mission?
The main word from it is choice. That's one thing I have really resonates with me is choice. We all have a choice every day. Do I lay in bed, feel pity for myself, and just lay on, sleep, whatever? Or do I wake up and attack the day? And that choice is something that really resonates with me.
And what do you think makes the difference between someone deciding to lie in bed or to get up and attack the day, as you say?
That's exactly what I'm fascinated with, is that why? Why does that person make that choice? Me personally, coming up to 4 years now, I stood on the edge of a bridge in Coleraine. And ever since that day, things switched around. I made the choice to say, I can either continue down this path and I will eventually lose my life, or I can choose to fail, learn, go over obstacles, the lot.
Fair play. I mean, you obviously made a choice that day. I mean,
that's where it comes from. Yeah.
How bad did it get? I mean, what triggered all that for you? Do you know?
Rugby childhood, rugby growing up, just all that there. And that day, personally, it was nothing. I was having a wee petty argument with my girlfriend, and it it was just like, that's it. I just can't do this anymore. That's it. Just threw the dummy out the pram and just said that was it. I went down to the bridge. The bridge. I was on the other side. The wrong side of the bridge. I was standing on the edge of it with my feet rocking back and forth, ready to do it. And I was on the phone with my partner, and this all happened in hours, but in me it happened so quick. Like, there was people around me talking and everything. I was reacting, but I wasn't there. And that my partner said something over the phone that eventually made me climb back over, which was, "What would your granny think?" And for some reason, that brought me right back to the moment. And it, when I think about it, what would you think? She'd probably shout at me to get back over the edge and hit me with a wooden spoon or something for scaring her. But yeah, after that day, I had to make a choice. This was my final chance. My mind fought back one more time. Do I continue down that path and meet death, or do I choose to live my life?
Fair play. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's that's a lot.
I own it. It's something that I want to say, to own your story, own your life, own your downfalls, everything. Just own your emotions. Like, there's not a feeling I don't have in my body that I don't own. Like, I used to be controlled and manipulated by my emotions, but now I'm in full control of them because I put in the work within my mind to do so.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly, you talk about choice. You talk then about control. Talk to us about the difference between the two. I mean, you have a choice, and then you control what you do, or how do you relate them?
You control which path you go down. Ultimately, you choose what path. Like, as much as it's like, say, you might feel you're only destined for a certain path and whatever, but I believe you choose your own way. You can go left down the road or right. The choice is truly yours, and that's something I really agree with.
So take us back then. What was Declan like what was mini Declan like?
A little Hulk. Growing up, I had ADHD, and I kept fighting back that that's who I was. It's something I keep trying to define that it's just me. I don't know. I had outbursts. I felt isolated. I felt labeled. Due to having ADHD, I didn't want to, if my attention wasn't on it, I didn't want to look at it. So when it came to school, I was just a wrecking ball. If something was not fitting with me, I was just flying off the rails. So that was kind of me as younger, and I didn't really have anyone to look up to in that there sense of like mentors or father. Father was there, but he wasn't really much of a, what would you call it, father figure? I don't know. But yeah, I had to learn things by myself. So yeah.
And being that sort of wrecking ball through school, as you say, I mean, how was that serving you?
Not very well. To tell you the truth, it's not very well. Like, it just put more and more obstacles in my way.
Did that get you attention? Did that get you? I mean,
I think that obviously it was a form of crying out in a sense. It's like, I don't feel right. I would say this process that I'm being led down doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't agree with my way. So that was where it came in, that I had to go over certain obstacles to figure out my own way. So that's, yeah.
Just to put it into perspective, what age are you now, Declan?
Sorry?
What age are you now?
24.
24. So really, I mean, this is, so at 20 years of age, you're finding yourself standing on the side of the bridge, almost not knowing how you got there and what's going on. And I mean, would you classify that was that a particularly low point? Is that, was a lot going on up to that point?
There was a lot of factors leading up to that, yes, I would say. Obviously, you have your reasons for, see, I don't believe there should ever be a reason that you get to that point that you allow yourself. That's why I say choice comes in. There were so many times where I could have said, right, enough's enough. But I just kept allowing it to be so. Like I lost my granny at the time up around near, would have been 6 years ago, and my mother and father, they divorced. It was a very messy breakup. There's a lot of weird situations that happened in there. I had a car. I got a car at that time too. It was paint stripped, so I ended up losing a load of money on it. I got 2 other cars. They blew up at the same roundabout. I didn't even get one of them home. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many memories that I'm just continuing to decipher. That's yeah.
Do you think life happens for you or to you?
Things just unfold. I don't know. It's like life's life. Life has its things are going to happen in life, and I believe it's up to us how we react. Everyone is going to get some sort of thing. We might share similarities in our story, but ways we react, it could be completely different, and that's what I believe. Yeah.
So talk to us again about sort of mini Declan. What did you love to do? What was your passions?
I loved escapes. I loved getting out there. I loved adventure. I loved doing things that weren't normal, I would say. I loved, like, it was hard for me to get out. Like, I kind of sadly stuck in the house because I didn't know who I was. I just sat and played Xbox, whatever, just went out. When I did go out, it was smoking weed at a very early age. And it's like, it's just that self-discovery. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're going through. There's not many lanes around you to go through. So any chance I had of adventure or anything that would challenge me, that's when I shined my best, I would say.
So you shine, or you shine under a challenge. That's your way.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example?
As weird as this here, like this is a challenge to me. Like standing up and just talking to someone, whatever. And it's then we small things like that can completely change your flow in life. Like I love sport. There's one thing, like I love sport. I do MMA currently. When I was younger, one of the biggest things that helped me for my ADHD was I was at judo, and that was my escape. That was one of my things that, without fail, I would have been there every couple of times a week, getting thrown over someone's shoulder.
What's your skill set? Because I mean, ADHD and ADD, they're I mean, I have ADHD, and that's no surprise. I quite openly say that, and but quite often, yes, you have the downfalls, but quite often there's so many amazing people have it. Entrepreneurs, world leaders have it, and actually they result in they've some amazing superpowers or some amazing sort of highlighted abilities. So I mean, do you know yet what your sort of superpowers are?
There's one word you said there, and it was yet. That word has resonated with me for the past few years. I don't quite know yet. As let's see, yeah, I don't know yet, and I'm a creative person. I just like to learn. I'll figure things out, and yeah.
Well, I mean that's a superpower in itself, is taking a choice, deciding, deciding to stand up, deciding to do this, deciding to get out of your own way, to make a decision. That is, and I said a lot of people there is, the first thing is not making a decision is a decision. You've chosen not to decide.
You've chosen to do nothing. Yep.
Yeah, and people don't get that quite often. It's as long as you sit there, then the world keeps turning, so you can't stop the world, and the globe doing that. Money is deflating in the bank. Inflation moves on, everything moves on. So, that's not making a decision. So for you to decide to do this, for you to decide to try something new, that in itself is a superpower. So well done, you.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you find is you're saying about the MMA and the sports side. What is it that you get out of that?
Challenge. There's something really personal about combat sports. It's just you. It's just you and an opponent and a referee, and it's purely mental. And that's the side I love. It's just that, like, self-betterment, just learning, failing. Just I love to learn and fail. That's one thing I love to do. My biggest downfall will be my biggest triumph.
I love that. Learning to love and fail, learning to loving to learn and fail. I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, how many people in life do that? Is actually welcome, failure. I mean, failure is subjective anyway, but learning
Don't get me wrong, that's scary. Like, see, if you'd have told me that when I was younger, I'd have ran out the room. But
why?
I couldn't stand the thought of failure. I felt like such a failure my whole childhood with the ADHD, not belonging. The thought of failure scared me because it would have been something that would possibly highlighted that that's who I am. But screw it, just be yourself.
Who told you it was a failure?
Sorry?
Who told you having ADHD was a failure?
My own mind. The way it was portrayed to me that this is a disability, this is a reason that you are like this. It was never portrayed that this could possibly be something that helps you focus and maybe tasks you love. Yeah. Like I don't know if you know the service CAMS over and here in Northern Ireland. I could have cried every time I had to go to it because it was like a feeling of just pure judgment that it was never uplifting. I ever felt it was always like, oh, what wrong did you do this week? Or what, like, there was never any, I was never felt any feeling of triumph, I would say, when I was younger.
What are you most proud of?
Me, being here today, that's my number one proud feeling is I'm still here. I made that choice to live. And I would say that with utter confidence. That is my proudest moment.
And who do you know is proud of you?
Me. No, my mother, my girlfriend, my brother, everyone. Like, if I'd have made that choice that day, I would have altered so many people's lives. And sadly, it's happening so much here in Northern Ireland. It is happening every day around the world. Someone is making that choice, and yes, the pain ends for you, but I say pain loosely, like it's something that can be healed, and I don't know, it's something I'm just trying to still figure out, and it feels great trying to figure it out, and that's what I want people to understand. It's okay to not know right now. There's a process in everything. There's a process in life. You must dig down, put your heels in, and just figure it out. There's no life's going to hit you left and right. So you just need to figure it out. You're going to get robbed. You're going to stumble about the place, but stand back up.
I get a lot of people would say to me, and because as I sort of live slightly in an echo chamber, and that, the people that come on typically, and I listen, I absolutely take my hat off to you for coming on here today, because so many people come on typically because they have something they want to share. So there is a success. They are successful financially. They might be successful because they're alive today. They could be successful for 50 different reasons, but quite often, they have a mission or vision and that's been established. You have come on and quite vulnerably and like say for that very reason, I really sort of stand attributed to you and say thank you for coming on, because not necessarily knowing yet what your fire in the belly is, that in itself, there's so many things, the yet is a brilliant word and a brilliant way of doing it, because
it resonates with me, honestly. That one word, I had what me and my friend like to call an aha moment. It's we were talking and we were talking about the word yet. And there's just a feeling that you feel like you figured something out in your head. It's like, aha, like, and that word yet just, it's like you can say to yourself in so many things, okay, I don't know. Or you can say, I don't know yet. It just puts that question mark at the end of the sentence that you don't know right now, but you will. And it's powerful. It's just so powerful, I believe.
And that's, that's the beautiful thing about it, is yet, as you say, can, when you have a belief, I don't know if you know much about NLP and things like that. I mean, quite often, people saying, well, I can't do that. And as you say, you can completely change the structure of the sentence and the belief by saying yet. I can't read yet. I can't do that yet. I haven't got $1 million yet, pounds,
Yep.
whatever your currency is. And that suddenly takes it from being impossible to possible. And that is the beautiful thing about that statement. I love that.
Yep. It's so simple, but it's so complex at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful seed. I mean, to say to anyone, whether you're standing on the side of the bridge or anywhere else, is saying, we haven't worked this out yet,
Yeah.
but you will. It shows determination. It shows aspiration. Shows so much.
The journey's hard, but you have to dig your heels in and fight your way. It's like I wandered about in the darkness for so many years, but I feel like I'm so close to the light switch that I'm just about to flick it on, and just my whole life's going to completely open up. I already believe it is already opened up, but it can get brighter and I can see clearer. And I think, no, I believe. I don't think. I know.
When have you ever been truly yourself?
I feel like I'm my true self now. That's forms of communication, things like this here, talking and breaking down stories and just having general chats with people is something where I feel most natural. As much as it scares the life out of me, it feels good. Like, it's being in the level with someone when they open up and they're able to express their true self. It's powerful. Like, it just feels good. I don't know. It feels good to talk to someone, and a lot of people need to just figure, like, pick yourself up and go talk to someone. You might figure something else with that wee simple chat.
Have you had people to talk to in the past?
For in what regards?
Just having a chat, whatever.
Yeah, I've had people to talk to, but there's talking and then there's talking. You can have just a simple wee, like, shut down talk. Oh, how are you? But then you can actually open up to someone and express how you're feeling and figure out your ups and downs and really break things down. Say what you're scared of. Just talk. Just completely talk.
How do you feel right now?
Natural. I don't know. I feel very relaxed. I love, as I say, like, I love talking in the grounds of someone that knows, maybe not, I don't know where in your stage of life, but maybe knows where they're going. They feel great with themselves, and I don't know. I can see that you have your own fire in the belly, and it's nice to see it in someone. And I know that's where your message comes from. You love seeing that coming out in someone, and I can see why, because it is powerful to see it in someone.
I mean, already in a short time, I mean, you've used some of the love language that I would talk about, and it's terms of, I love the term yet, I love choice, straight away when someone used that, that's a very raw, and even just talking about yet being the possibilities and the ideas and the seeds and things like that, the language you use there alone, I mean, that straight away says to me, there's a passion, there's an energy there.
And that wasn't easy to get to that stage. It really wasn't. Like, the day I stepped off that bridge, it was a long, it still is a long journey, but you have to figure it out. It's just, you can't give up. You really can't. Like, it goes back to, if I had made that choice, I would have hurt so many people. I would have altered so many lives after that day if I had made that choice. And that's something that truly sits with me, is like, I could have changed so many lives and altered them completely. And it's understanding that keeps me going and keeps me driving. They learn, feel, figure it out.
Do you like yourself?
I've learned to love myself. Yep. And that's something that I encourage anyone to do. Learn to love yourself. I hated the skin I walked in when I was younger. I hated myself, and hate is a strong word to ever use on anything. And I truly hated the skin I walked in. I hated how I sounded. I hated how I looked. I hated everything about me.
Why?
Why? I never felt like I belonged. I always felt like an outcast. That's something. But right now, I love to be that person. I love to be the person that maybe doesn't fit in with that crowd or that crowd. I don't know. It's, as again, it goes back to, I'm figuring it out.
Why would you like to be that outcast?
Right now, I don't know. I don't like to feel normal. I don't want to feel like I'm just doing something because that's the norm or whatever. I want to be. I don't know. I just want to be me. Like I feel like so many people are fake in so many levels. It's like, as I say, I love to talk, and I will break people down when it comes to this. So it's easy to see people's layers when you're talking to them. So that's why I love to just be myself. Like I don't care what anyone. Right now, I don't care what anyone thinks of me, and it's understand that. Learn to love yourself. Be yourself. Who cares what Joe Blow down the street thinks of you?
Talk to us about the voices, the voice in your head.
The voices now are very encouraging, but they used to be. They used to be very dark and constant because I allowed them to be. It used to be like I used to weigh 19 stone, so I used to, every time I fought myself, I would have felt self pity. I would have just degraded myself in a way. I would have always put myself down, and yeah, I don't really know there.
How long ago was that?
Well, let's see. I was coming up before. It would have been leading up like 4 years ago. Like that's where I was at. Like that was up until I was what I was nine. Just I was about 19 when I was at the bridge, and yeah, up until that point, I would have constantly drove myself down. And up to 2 years after that, there in the process of figuring myself out, learning to love myself, feeling, climbing back up, doing whatever it takes. It's a process.
What was Declan's plans originally? What did you want to do when you grew up?
Oh, it was a question I hated when I was younger, honestly, because it's something in school that they always ask you, "What are you going to be? What are you going to do?" See asking me that there, my head melted. Like I couldn't stand that question growing up because I didn't know. I didn't. Like I've done plastering, I've done bricklaying, I've done joinery. I have my level 3 in animal management. I right now I'm doing security. Like I didn't know what I was going to be, and I still don't know yet. And that's like my goal for next year is to figure out my career path and figure out what I want to do. Because right now in security, it doesn't go anywhere. It's a job right now. It's not a career. So it's figuring out that career that I want to have, that I'm happy to devote my energy to. Like spending 12 hours a day at night, it gives you a lot of time to think. So, yep.
Do you like spending time with you?
Love it. Like it used to be my worst enemy, but now it's one of my greatest things is being able to spend time with myself, either meditate, something I would have thrown a book at you for asking me to do when I was younger. But yeah, spending time with myself now, I can read, I can do whatever it takes, I can just figure things out in your own time. Like as I say, I'm 24 years young. I'm 24. I have met people. I don't know. I don't even know how to continue on with that sentence. It's like I'm 24. Like I thought I had to figure things out right away because that's the way it's kind of portrayed in school. What are you going to do now? Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you going to uni? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? I don't know. So it's go with a path. Like just figure it out. Like I wanted to do dog handling. I wanted to do, what else did I want to do? Well, that was a thing on my mind for a while, was dog handling.
Why?
I love dogs. I've done over, say, 300 hours working for a dog rescue. It was one of the people that helped me in my, say, come up, I'll say. It was this woman. She's a great woman. Yeah, I don't know there. I don't know how else to expand upon that.
Think you were trying to rescue the dog or rescue you?
I don't know. I just love dogs. I don't think really the rescue dogs are that. I just love dogs. It was always like a bond that I always felt was. I suppose yes, I could go into it. These broken broken things that kind of come in, you help them, and yeah, it could have been a form of self-betrayal within the dogs. So yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reason they find themselves there for a multitude of reasons, but actually if you're there to help them back to another life.
Yep, exactly. And seeing them getting rehomed and being in better places, it was always a beautiful process. Like, I have a dog now, a wee Yorkshire Terrier I met. Well, it came in, and it was the first. It came into my arms first, and this dog was in a terrible state. But for whatever reason, it just clung to me, and it's one of them things where people meet dogs and they just fall in with them. And don't get me wrong, the dog can be a wee pain in the back end, but you love the things, and it's like, yeah.
That's quite some connection to get that and to get that level of trust, because dogs can be quite specific about who they go to and who they spend time with.
It's one, I believe dogs can see who a real person is. See if someone walks through my front door and my dogs don't like them, I'm going to feel wary about that person. They might have a hidden agenda. Dogs know. I don't know what it is. Dogs know a good and bad person. They just know their energies. They know something. Don't get me wrong. There's dogs where they just don't like people in general, but they're just trying to figure out their own path too.
And I mean, going right back, I mean, at 7 years of age, who would we have met to have made you,
At 7?
Hmm.
7 years of age? Where am I? What age would you be in school at that time?
You probably would be, what's that, about P4, P5, something like that?
That's when I was first diagnosed with ADHD. That's when things started to go weird. Maybe that's why the number 7 resonates with me now, because it's actually weirdly my favorite number is the number 7.
And the way your tone and your context, the way the diagnosis was put to you, sounds like it wasn't a positive experience.
No, it was like as I say, it was a label that was really put onto me. It was like, this is who you are. You have these limitations. You're put into this category now. That's the feeling I grew up with, was that feeling of being labeled that this is who you are.
Who were you before that?
I don't know. Just a kid. And that's it. I believe I was just a kid.
Happy, sad, like school, didn't like school?
Just a kid, yeah. Just a normal kid. And that's why I would say just a normal kid that played. Don't get me wrong, I was going crazy at that time too. That's why I did the kid, because I didn't know who I was. But yeah, I think before that I just felt like any other person. As I say, but yeah.
Are you siblings, Declan?
I have one older brother and one younger sister.
Is there much of a spread between you?
Brother is, I think he's 3 or 4 years older than me. I think he's 4. I think he's 28. And sister, she is 18. She's 18.
So 8 years younger?
Yep.
But no, 6 years, sorry.
Yeah,
6. So quite a spread between you all then, so you're all, going through those early years and, and really in your own time.
And that kind of goes back to the breakup of the family, I would say. The sister felt it the worst because she was younger. She wasn't as mature as us. So it was very hard for her to come to terms with certain thing. Growing up, I was kind of always the father. I was my own father figure, but also kind of the one to stand up if things push came to shove, I would say. So even when that happened, I had to be that figure when that happened. So kind of going back to the bridge, once that happened, I was kind of that support system. I was the structure that held up the building. So after that, there happened to me a lot of my brother, my sister, they kind of went through their own path. Same with my mother, they're all in it all kind of fell apart around there near then. So I had a choice then. It goes back to choice. I had a choice. Do I fall while this all happens, or do I be the leader that everyone needs? Do I choose to be the stronger person in the matter and help everyone again, but while also trying to figure myself out at the same time? Because it was one thing I always was. I was always tried to be that person that someone else needed, but I was never the person that I needed personally. And that's where it came back to learning to love my own self.
Who did you need in your life?
I don't know, and that's, to be hard-headed, I didn't feel like I needed anyone, but I don't know who I needed. I don't know what type of structure I needed. Yeah, I didn't know what I needed or who I needed.
So talk then about, really going into the ADHD that was diagnosed. Was, so was there special exception made, or what way was that, did that unfold?
I'm not going to lie, Pete, I had it good for a kid. Like, see, when it came to, like, because I was that much of a wrecking ball, anything they could do to subdue me, like, I got out half days in primary school. I was always brought in for swimming, but because I say swim, like, activities, things, it was stuff that always ignited my fire, and it was just that thing that, all right, Declan's going to be good here. So yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Your language around that, it almost sounds like, people were pushing you to the side or trying to get you out.
Yeah, it could have been too. Yeah, there's many ways I could look at it, that I was being pushed to the side or I was being eased. I don't know. The support, I have to admit, like, when I think about the teachers I had, they were amazing. Like, they really did. Like, as much as I would say threatened them and whatever, they still did give me whatever I needed. As much as a lot of them were going about it the wrong way, I feel like their intentions were right at the same time. But I'm a hard person to figure out.
Does anyone get you?
Does anybody get anyone? Like, anyone gets is their own self. Like, no one will truly know anyone like they know themselves. Slightly understand each other, but I don't think anyone truly knows another person. Like, my partner is my rock, but I don't believe she truly knows me. For coming up to 5 years now, and it's hard to. I think it's truly hard to understand someone. It's Yeah, it's, I don't know how else to describe that. It's, no one's going to know you like you know yourself.
But certain people obviously can get through to you. Certain people, and you mentioned there even about your grandmother.
Yes. Well, in that case, yes. People will be able to communicate with you in that sense of form, but when it goes deep down, I say, like, no one's going to know you like yourself. As I go back to my grandmother, like, she was able to speak to me. She was able to say, she was give life advice, etc. But yeah, I kind of get lost thinking about that. Yep.
So you must have been, what, 17 or 18 when she passed?
Right, that, yeah. Close, right, yeah.
And you were saying there was a lot going on at that time. Talk us through that.
Let's see how to break it down. She passed away, and say about 3 to 4 months after it, the breakup of my mother and father happened. He was having an affair, and that all fell apart. He wanted an easy transition or whatever, and he made anything, but it was messy, as it goes, as messy as anything goes for a breakup. There's one memory I have where he was with his partner, whatever, and they met my mum. I met my mum at the top of the hill in Coleraine at Laura Hill, And as she walked down, I got a phone call, her screaming on the phone. She was getting the hair pulled out of her by this woman my father's with. He stood by and let the mother of his 3 children get hair pulled about. So I was in the car with my best friend. We turned all the way around as I could hear her screaming over the phone. They just got away at this point. I shouted at Kieran to go after him. I spoke with my mum. Nothing kind of happened there, but that's hearing your mother scream over the phone. It resonates with me. It just, you talk about fire in the belly. Like I'm scared if I'd actually met him face to face that day. That's something that you kind of say about talk about choices. Something bad could have happened that day, but I chose to console my mom and make sure she was okay.
How do you feel about it now?
I own the emotion. I know if I was to talk to my mom, like, it would probably still hurt her, but me personally, as I say, I own every emotion in me. I don't hold that weight over me anymore when it comes to him or any events that happened. It's too easy to dwell on past events, and so just focus on right now.
What sort of role did your dad play prior to that?
In what terms? Wasn't much of a father figure. He would have put my mum down on many occasions if it came to that she wants to, say, go learn something. It's like, no, you're not good enough to do that. This is something I never knew personally until I spoke with my mum years to come. And I think subliminal, I can't get that out, but he also done it to me. Would have put me down, I think. Anytime I'd have tried to interact with him, I'd be like, oh, what do you want, or stuff like that. I don't think he was ever really ready to be a father. And yep.
How do you feel about that?
It is what it is. As I say, I'm my greatest person right now. I don't past events. As I say, I own it. I don't. It is what it is. Life is life. It doesn't matter. I could choose to dwell on it. I could choose to, oh, why didn't he do this? Why couldn't he have helped me for that? Why couldn't he have supported me with that? Or I could be the person I need to be. There's my choice. I could choose to dwell on past events, past feelings, or choose to be me.
What are your core values today?
I don't even know how to define a core value, to be honest, Pete.
Honesty. How do you feel about that?
Being real. Honesty is something I like. If something needs said, I'll say it. If it hurts both parties, it needs to be said. I believe in the power of communication. I was always that mediator between families, between the family and whatever happened. I was always the one that had to say, this is that person's side, this is that side, what's in the middle here. So honesty goes a long way.
Are you the mediator or the punch bag?
I'm definitely a mediator because I won't be stood on. As I say, I'm very good at calm. As much crazy as I am, I'm very good at calming situations too when it comes to other individuals. Me, on the other hand, if I'm off the handles, I just need to get away. I need to leave. I'll just leave the situation, because if I stay in a situation, it's going to be bad. So I just leave.
Talk to us about that being bad. What would happen?
I don't like to hurt anyone else. I would more likely hurt myself. See, when I was younger, I always hit stuff with my fist. When I was something would happen at school, I broke so many windows. I broke my hand. I was, as it could be going back to a punch bag, I was the victim, and I would have changed the course of events onto me just to get away from it.
Interesting.
That me is to decipher that.
No, but that sort of distraction technique is quite common with, ADHD, dyslexia, whatever,
Yeah,
is somebody will act up over here to distract someone from what's not happening over here.
yeah,
You talk about behavioral issues, etc. And that's a form of communication. Breaking windows, doing all that is a form of communication, right?
yeah. Not the best communication, but it definitely is a form of communication. It's non-verbal, definitely. It's saying I am not happy with how you have reacted to the situation. Like, I am very good when it comes to explaining the situation. So breaking things down, I'm very good at that at this stage of my life, and looking at both sides and figuring out, listen, I'm in the wrong here, you're in the wrong there. Apologies, if they need to be said, they need to be said. If they're not, don't beat yourself up. If the person doesn't feel like they owe you an apology, it's not worth it. Just don't hold on to it, because if you hold on to a situation, it's going to get worse and worse in your head.
It's interesting, and you were saying about then, obviously with the MMA and the combat sports, that's something you resonate to, which is getting physical, right?
Yeah,
It's
I guess it's a form of, as I say, you can't go in there the way I used to, like, fly off the handles. If I fly off the handle and there's someone gonna just see me a mile away, loading up my fist, looking to hit them. So you have to be calm. You have to be calm. Yeah, you can't go in there tense, and you're too predictable at that there. And that's where I think it kind of goes back to childhood and that there. I believe people thought they knew me. They thought I was very predictable. This is how I'm going to react. So that's the way I was poked at.
Are you better than that?
For
Anything?
what do you mean better on?
You mentioned there that people think they knew you.
Back in the day, I would have reacted 100%. I would have been the person that, as I say, I don't want to be that punching bag, so I will react. But they got what they wanted. They got me to fly off the handles. They stopped class, so it was easy to poke me to get a reaction.
Who's they?
I don't know, just general stuff in school.
Kids, teachers?
Yeah, just kids. Yeah, but it could have been just a normal, like, it would have been afterwards. But then that could have been manipulation of one saying, "Oh, it was only a joke" or whatever. But yeah, people react differently.
Were you lonely?
I definitely felt lonely. I felt like I felt I was walking on a path by myself my whole life.
Are you lonely today?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, as I say, I didn't know myself, so I feel like I can walk beside myself too. It's like that goes back to spending time by myself. When I used to spend time with myself, that's when I felt lonely. But now I'm able to stay in that moment and enjoy things.
That's sort of an expression you hear sometimes, being lonely in a crowd. I
Yeah,
know that's something I used to hear, but that was, off the back of depression, and people saying there's any amount of support around you and yet you didn't want any of it.
and that kind of goes back to the choice too. I had, like, there's many people. My sister, she currently has a lot of choices to be had and a lot of support around her, but like medical and family. But it goes back to choice, and she is currently making that choice, and it's choices, and she's accepting it now. It used to be, it was like beating up a dead horse, whatever. It was just going over the head, whatever. But it's ultimately up until we make that choice in our mental health. It's time for change, and it's when do you decide that change. My friend, he had PTSD happened, but any person to hear it, it's life altering. It would completely change you. But he is probably one of the strongest people I know, because he made that choice to change his life, and we made that choice kind of together in the same year, unknowingly. We kind of figured out, we both made the choice in 2017 that we're going to change things. I stepped away from him, and he made the choice that I'm going to lose people I basically care about. Made the choice, changed his life, and at the same time yeah. Sometimes the best thing to do is walk away, and it could be one of the hardest things. I had to walk away from interactions with my father. It's just wasn't healthy. There was times where I got a message. He basically says, I'm going to be a druggie. I'm just nothing but a druggie. You're going to do nothing. And then not long after that there, he says he's coming up to the house. I didn't know for what reason. He says, just looking to talk to my mum. I didn't really know why, so I grabbed the knife and I sat on the sofa waiting for him to come. Sister kind of screaming upstairs. As he arrived, I dropped the knife and just walked out, stood in the front door. He says he wanted my mum to go outside. He says, no, you can talk to her from the door from whatever you need to say, kind of being that moderator in the way. And yeah, we just ended up walking away. He wasn't able to accept his wrongs, and yeah.
What would you have done differently?
In that moment, I don't think I could have done much more. I am proud of it. It could have been a lot worse. I could not be talking to you now. I could be in jail because ultimately I did want to. I'll say end them. Like before a conversation, calling your son nothing but a druggie, you're going to be nothing. How do you think that completely degrades that person? So what more do they have to lose if that is how you're perceived? So that is when the choice was made. I dropped it and says, no, I'll show you who I'm going to be.
So you were 17?
It would have been around near that time. It's the timeline of everything I don't really know, but around that.
That's quite common when there's a lot going on and a lot. Would you describe as trauma? I mean, what was your headspace?
I don't know, it was life events. I don't know. Don't really how to define it. It was just it's a saying I love, but my girlfriend hates. It is what it is. There's not much you can do about it. I could have reacted a certain way. I didn't. It's in the past. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'll happily speak about it. Yeah.
How do you feel about the expression "forgive and forget"?
I do forgive him. As crazy as it may be, I do. I will not hold any grudge because I hate him. But I'd say I don't. It's not an emotion anymore for me. It used to really sit on me what I thought of him as a person. So much so that it weighed on my daily feelings. So I choose to let go.
Do you like him in any way?
He introduced me to martial arts. That's the one upside I look at him. It's the one thing I'm grateful for. It's the one thing he introduced me to that. Yeah, it's the one thing that I can say that. Yeah, thank you for introducing me to that.
Through your early teenager years, then, I mean, how were things going for you then? Through secondary school and things like that.
Just through that period of not figuring out who I was, it was just, as I say, you goes back to that crowd. It's like being lonely in a crowd. That's kind of who I would have been. I didn't know who I was, where I fit it in. I was still a happy-go-lucky person, but behind closed doors, I was in a dark place. When I wrote up about me on the bridge, I got so many messages saying I never knew. And it's a lot of people go through that they don't know how someone's feeling. But yeah, during growing up, I would have put on a smile, just pretend like nothing's wrong. But behind closed doors, that's when things got dark.
Why were you not saying what was going on? Why was there that buffer?
Because I made the choice not to do so. That is the ultimate thing. I made the choice not to do it.
But why?
I would say fear of judgment, because I would say I was judged my whole life, being labelled such and such. So I think adding another thing onto it probably scared me, I would say. And yeah.
Talk to me about labels then. How do you feel about them now?
I don't know. I don't really know about labels. I know it used to be a thing that used to be so heavy for me, but I don't label myself in any way. I just look at it. I'm me. I'm just the person I am. I'm not going to label who I am or what. I believe labeling yourself can put a heavy burden on yourself that this is who you are. So why give yourself that burden? Just be yourself. I can label myself that I'm so many ways, but what if I don't meet that criteria? What if I think so? Just be yourself. Just be your best self.
What does your best self look like then? When we get you in your best state and your best flow and your best area, what does that look like?
Standing tall, just proud of who I am. That is my best self. I believe that's anyone's best self, is loving the skin they're in.
What would we say?
Someone that's smiling, someone that's smiling, happy to talk to you, full of conversation, full of beans. I don't know.
And what does conversation do for you then?
It's an interesting thing because it really is powerful when you talk to someone. It's freeing. Like I would have been that shy, silent kid growing up, but with millions of thoughts and creative ideas and whatever to be. But I didn't want to express it. But now I'll say whatever.
Talk to me about the creative side there.
I'm great at writing. I would be diagnosed with dyslexia, but when it comes to writing out emotions on a page, I typing that is. I'm very good at putting it on there. I'm really good at creating a speech or whatever that would really portray emotion and just be powerful. Just something it's weird. I do love to write. It's easy to express how you feel through words. Like it's easy to put it out there.
And how could we get the best speech or thing out of you? What would that look like?
Through the Think Network, I have done a couple of the talks there. That really goes into my creative side too. Just with Gary, really, it makes you think. Like I love questions, real open questions that even like yourself, just questions that really open up your mind, make you think for a couple of seconds and just express it. And being able to truly sit with it and write it onto a page and have that thought in your head truly deciphered and free flowing, it's powerful to have it that way.
Oh, totally. What have you got to lose?
Nothing. I like when it comes to taking risk, I'll risk everything. If I have a goal, I will risk everything to get it. It goes back to the break. Like, what more? I was going to lose my life. I was going to lose everything about me. So I don't like to be comfortable. I don't like to feel. If I'm comfortable, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I've got to the point where it's just I'm. If you look, say, a stock chart, it's just kind of that same area. But I could have a great new idea that just shoots that stock out of the sky. So yeah, just be uncomfortable. Like this personally makes me uncomfortable, but I love it.
Where's the two parts coming from?
Two parts. Say again. What do you mean?
Well, you feel uncomfortable on one side and Loving the other.
As I say, I think it's just that love for being in an uncomfortable situation that, as you say, goes back to social anxiety. I don't really feel good talking, but I also love it at the same time. And it's just been able to express that, taking my time and getting better with it. I'm only going to get better with practice. As anything in life, you must give your best self-image the best you can and just learn. Kind of goes back to that thing of loving to fail. I'll fail to succeed.
I mean, that's very wise in that learning. You know, because some people are afraid to fail, so they don't even try. You're going a step further and taking it on. And
I would rather fail 100 times to succeed once, because that one success could mean absolutely everything to you. So why not risk failure to achieve your biggest self-worth? That goal that maybe you've set that scares you but would mean the world to you. Why not take that chance on yourself?
talk to me about somebody that is, you know, maybe currently failing or feels that they're failing at the moment. What would you say to them?
Ultimately, it's up to you. You can have all the support in the world, but it's up to us which we choose. That's why I love that word choice. And it is truly up to us. Find the path you want to go down. You might not find it easy. I still don't know, but I'm happy at the same time. Fail. Doesn't matter. There, you will learn something from a failure. Simple as that. No matter what it is, there was something you will pull from it.
I mean, your path there at the moment, you say you don't know what it is, but yet you're saying it just be yourself. That is a path in itself.
Exactly. Being your own true self is the best feeling in the world. Don't hold any judgment on yourself. Just be you. Be nothing else. Just be yourself. Like,
When you look around, you know, do you think people generally are themselves? Where do people sit?
definitely not. We live in the world of social media. Social media will show you the most glamorous things in life. It was a thing that I would have said personally drove me down. It's like, look what that person's doing with their life. Oh no, what am I doing? I'm nothing. But then you realize, oh, that's social media. That's a fake life. That is who they want you to see. Look, nobody's truly putting their downfalls on social media. Like that person that's maybe doing whatever, they could have worked hard as anything to get to that point. So why beat yourself up that they're not in similar situations as you?
Do you, or did you find yourself comparing yourself to others around you?
100%. Most definitely. I would have compared myself to so many people that why have I not figured out where I'm going? Why do I not have this? Why do I not have that? But it doesn't really matter ultimately. It's about what? It's just about me. It's not about that person. Stop being nosy. That's a simple fact. Stop being nosy in other people's life. Yet respect what they're doing. Respect how they've got there, but don't beat yourself up over someone else's triumphs. And it's something I believe in society that is kind of ingrained, is that feeling of, oh, woe me, they're doing so well, what about me? Instead of thinking, I am where I am, let's figure this stuff out.
Talk to us about what happened after stepping away from the edge of the bridge.
Instantly, my hands went into my face. I had ultimate shame. When I got in the car to go to the hospital, my hands were just in the thing, and I was thinking in my head, why didn't I do it? Why did I not just do that? My best friend was kind of in my ear, don't tell them that you're going to do it, because then I would have been sanctioned and not there. So after that there, I went back to the house. My mum gave me this hug. It's this, if you've ever lost anyone in your life, it's this hug it was the same hug she gave me when my granny passed away. It was just this deathly hug. It's like, I get to hug you again type thing, or I know I could have lost you type thing. And that there feeling resonates with me. I love that. I made the right choice there. So continuing on from that, I just lay in the bed and looked at the ceiling. And that's when I kind of thought to myself, this is going to be hard, but I have to go deep and figure things out. I will not give up until I achieve what I want to achieve, whatever it is. Feels good to say that. I say it to myself in person a lot, but as I say, that's why I believe conversations are so powerful. Tell them your true self.
Does any part of it feel like, were you able to let go of any baggage on that day?
I still carried it all. Like the bottle broke, and I got to that point, but all the water or whatever was still filled up just to the brim again. I was right at that point again. No matter, even if I did step off the bridge, I still held on to every emotion that I was facing, but I had to take little sips of that drink and figure things out and own the emotions that I feel.
What were the core emotions you were feeling there?
Sadness, doubt, hatred, name an emotion. Honestly, I'm a very emotional person. Like, I felt every emotion, but it was just, I just consoled it all. I just kept it in. I just kept, like, as I say, if I had met anyone, I'd have been the happiest person you met. But as soon as I turned my back, I could be on the verge of tears. So after that day, I had to truly dig down, figure it out. It wasn't easy. Like, I as I say, it goes back to meditating. If someone told me to meditate, as I say, I would throw a book at you and say, wise up. Like, it was a thing that ADHD, when it came to my anger, breathe, take a few breaths, breathe. And I was like, wise up. But it works. Just take a breath. Like, even when it comes to having a conversation, if you feel uptight, and just take a couple of breaths, speak yourself. Yeah. Meditating and learning to read. Learning. Like, I have notes and notes and notes on myself, and it's just try to figure it out. Learn from your mistakes, read, meditate. I don't know, I could blabber on.
I mean, that's quite something. I mean, had you attempted anything before that?
Nope, as I say, I made the choice to do nothing. I made the choice to continue and wallow in my own self-pity. Because I say, the support for people there's a lot of it out there, but a lot of it's not being utilised too. Like, I know the support for Northern Ireland when it comes to mental health isn't there, but a lot of it's being neglected too. A lot of people don't hold responsibility. The one thing I had to do was hold responsibility for myself. I allowed myself to get to that point. Only me, no one else. So I had to be accountable for how I was feeling.
There's a slight irony there in that you were, holding the space, or you were mediating for others and you were standing between.
I know. It's ironic, isn't it? But as I say, it just goes back, figure it out. It's a crazy path life is, but it's beautiful. It truly is. It's amazing. Like, when you actually take a moment, like, one thing that meditating takes you is just figuring being in the moment type thing. So figuring that, it was something that I always kind of knew when I was younger, as being in the moment, but I never truly understood it until I started to meditate. It was because that's kind of what the judo and all would have brought to me. It would have been in the moment. It would have, this is what I'm doing right now. Let's have full focus, or I'm getting thrown over some boy's shoulder. So that's one of the most powerful things for me too, was just simply being in the moment. Like being in this call right now, don't allow any distractions for yourself. Be present and speak yourself. And that could be in a conversation you end at where the world's going crazy around you, but you're speaking face to face with someone. That is the only thing you need to worry about, is that conversation you're having right now.
What would you say to you now?
Good job. Truthfully, that's all I would say. Good job. Something I would have never heard. Well, probably would have, but I would have brushed it off that I didn't do anything. That's a self-pity. Good job. That's not, nothing was really achieved there. Right now, I would say good job, Declan. Feels good. Feels good to tell yourself. And that's, self-talk is so important to you. It's one thing for mental health, you're constantly talking to yourself, but what way are you talking to yourself? Are you beating yourself up? Are you saying you're a mess, you're this, you're that? Are you saying, you know what, you're amazing? You know what, you're just yourself. You're happy. You're going to do something today where you might figure something out. You might not, but just go with the flow. Whatever happens, it is what it is.
I mean, the honesty and integrity that you've shared here, I mean, I'd almost say it's unprecedented.
It just feels normal to me now, but that's the thing. I say coming up to 4 years ago, on the 26th of February 2017, that is when I was at that bridge. And that is when the choice had to happen. So right now, I've grown since then. I could have made the choice to not, but I've chose to do. So when I say I own every emotion about me, I do. Like if I have to be sad, I will be sad. If I have to, when I'm always happy, or from whatever, I will be it. If that's what I need to be in the moment, I will be it. If I need to be sad for someone else to express their self, let's do it. Being vulnerable is something that a lot of people need to be comfortable with. It's a hard thing to tell someone to be as vulnerable, but you'll learn from being vulnerable. You'll learn more about yourself from being vulnerable. Being in this conversation, talking about things, yes, I'm vulnerable, but I'm the strongest I'll ever be from talking about it.
What are you capable of?
Anything I set my mind to. I don't hold any restrictions to myself. Yes, I might feel leading up to what I'll ultimately want to achieve, but I believe anything's possible.
The irony is you're not failing, because as long as you keep trying, you're never failing.
Exactly.
So the power comes in the potential fail. You would fail if you stopped, but yet you keep
exactly
going.
That is the ultimate thing. If you stop, then you have failed. You have ultimately truly failed. If you keep going, you're never truly failing. You're just progressing. You're just one step ahead of the next thing. Yes, you might fail again, but keep going and you might succeed after that.
Who can you help?
I've helped a lot of people around me, I would say. Like I helped my best friend when he was in his process. I've helped my mum. I've went through a lot with my sister and my brother. If someone's willing to give me their time, I'll help anyone. If someone's willing to listen, I'll help them. If you're not, I can't help you. You're not ready to do anything. Like when I stepped off that bridge, I had to accept help. You have to accept everything around you. Like the world is help. Anything around you, like I have bookcases, I have everything, like anything, you can pick up anything. Like a glass of water, that is going to help you. You're going to become hydrated. Just simple stuff can help you. Figure it out. Be open to figuring it out. I could have a closed mindset and say, no, this is the way, this is the right thing to do, but have an open mindset, just do whatever needs to be done.
It's something that's coming it's the rates of, problems with mental health. I mean, globally, I don't think it's necessarily, yes, Northern Ireland
Yeah,
has its higher rates. Why do you think that is?
I believe we're kind of new age with social media. It's like there's billions of people on social media, and I believe that's where we're so interconnected, but we don't really know anyone. Like back in the old days, you would have been running about playing with your friends, and that would have been your circle. But now you can see someone across the world that's maybe driving a Lamborghini or whatever and living their so-called best life, and you feel like you're inadequate. And I think that's where it's like surround yourself with the people you want to be, like that close circle that you would have had when you were younger or growing up, your friend group. You can't do that on social media, but you can also make the worst side of social media. As I say, it's programmed to give you what you want. So figure it out. What do you want? Like if you put everything out that say there's all these lavish people, there's fitness people or whatever, you can choose like, oh, woe me, why am I not in that shape? Why am I not at that point in my life? You can maybe grab a wee bit of motivation from that person and pick up a weight and do something or whatever it takes, or learn a book, read a book, do whatever it takes. Speak to a person that might help you.
Isn't it amazing how much, that's going on around us, as you say, that can inspire people and what are the inspirational things around you that has made a difference?
I love change. I used to be petrified of change, but now I see a constant state of change. Your life's going to embracing a constant state of change is so powerful to me. It's you could be different one day to the other. Don't fret. You're going to. I think change is such a beautiful thing, and it's scary to accept it, but it really is. Yeah.
I'm noticing there, it's like I'm sort of almost seeing like this C5, this choice, control, change, choosing. There's so much there that's coming through. Just happened to all be C's. But they're so powerful in terms of accepting the change and deciding to actually, it is your choice to choose a new difference, choose a
All
new
goes
path.
back to that word as choice.
Mm.
It really does go back to that word choice. Like I could scream from the hills saying that word choice. You all have a choice. We all have a choice. Like you could have woke up today. I imagine you have schedules for work to do. You could have said, look, you know what, I'm just going to bung off a few things there and make my day a wee bit easier and sit and watch TV or something. No, you've choose to pick up, do meetings, whatever's required of you, and progress as an individual.
What makes you stretch yourself? I mean, what stops you from just getting up and turning on the TV?
As I say, it goes back to that being uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, I am still in that stage where I'll sit and watch TV because I don't really have the responsibilities where I would like. As I say, I'm in security, I do 12-hour shifts. After that, there it ends. There is no like take home, how can I progress my career type thing? How can I be the next, how can I own the company based type thing? How can I be the best version for maybe the person I'm working with, maybe my partner, whatever, my business partner? It just goes back to how do I be my best self? Say I do like you watch TV, but then you could be doing something. You could even go back to food. Like you eat food and then you ultimately feel guilty after, like, oh, why did I eat that? And it's just that first thought of choice. Oh, am I going to eat this quick meal or am I going to prep something? We all have choices every single day, every moment. Do I lay on in bed here for an extra 15 minutes or do I get up and make a cup of coffee and start the day? The worst thing I would say with working at night, like I do despise working at night, but I love it at the same time. I'm a very morning person. I would love to begin up at 4 in the morning, do a bit of exercise, meditate, do whatever it takes just to start the day before what I would say the actual world wakes up. But Right now I can't do that, but it's okay because I haven't just quite got there yet. So just go with the flow, figure things out, take your time, embrace change, and accept it. Accept where you're at right now and keep working hard. Life is as simple as that. As much as we try to complicate things day in, day out, life's simple. As much as we try to make it out to be a lot more than it actually is, it's simple. We're just breathing. We're just breathing and going about our day.
So simple, isn't it?
Crazy. And as it kind of goes back to simple, when I stepped off the bridge and I had to go back to self-discovery and all that there, I wasn't doing anything currently. I was on the dole at the time. I was collecting benefits. I didn't really have any self purpose with everything else going on, and it kind of just. I ended up getting a job washing dishes, and it was one of the most. It was one of the best times of my life. I cycled to work, and it was great. Like I got to cycle to work, I got to cycle back. It would have been raining, but I still would have been smiling. It was one of the most simple times of my life, but I loved it. I woke up. I would have woke up around near 4 or 5. Would have just do a bit of exercise, do whatever it takes. Go to work. Only work to 2. Like it could have been raining when I cycled to work, but I still went to and they work smiling. As I say, people really neglect having a simple life. Yes, strive for everything you want, but don't neglect the simple things in life. That's one thing a lot of us would take for granted, is just the simple things.
Do you live by a mantra or a saying?
Not really, no. Just Declan.
What's one of the best choices you ever made?
As I say, it goes back to Ride That Bridge. I don't know where I wouldn't be anywhere else if it wasn't for that choice. That is my ultimate choice. Up until every point I've got to making this phone call right now, or this talking right here, right now, that was a choice that was like I could have bunged this off and said, no, that's too, I don't want to do that there. You made the choice to talk. It's a brilliant choice.
What's one of the worst choices you've made?
Worst choice. Allowing myself to get to that point on the bridge. I could have stopped myself at so many times. Every wee minor thing I could have stopped. They are the worst choices I've made. I look back and say, where could I have been if I made the choice to make it blunt, cut out all the bullshit and make an effort? Make an effort, fail, and just keep going.
Sounds like you almost celebrate failure now.
Oh, I love it. It's crazy. I love failure, Pete. As sick as it is, I love failure.
Why?
Because I know something else is around the corner. Like the failure, I love, as it goes back to, I love learning, and you will learn more from a failure than you will an achievement. I personally believe that anyway. I believe if you can learn so much about yourself from a fail. So if you can go back to, say, if you went back to school, you failed in the test. Well, why did you fail? What led you up to failing? Did you not revise as much? Did you not do this? There's so many reasons of why.
So those labels that were attached to you at 7, 8 years of age, what were they saying, and how does that relate to you now?
What were they saying back then? I just felt like I was on a corner with them labels. I just felt like this is who you are, and don't try doing anything about it. I didn't. Yeah, that's who I am now. I'm whoever I want to be.
That's the beauty of whether it's ADHD or whatever, or just somebody with God-known determination, passion, fire in the belly. They'll run through brick walls just for the crack because they might learn something.
As I say, it's kind of what I did for a while. I did kind of run through walls. the wall hit back a lot, but eventually you start to get a bit stronger and break through them walls.
Mm.
As I say, I love overcoming obstacles. I love the word adversity. I love overcoming stuff, and it's having the strength to say whatever, just figure it out, just overcome it, figure it out. As I say, it just goes back. It's so simple, but we hate to make it simple. We always try to complicate things.
That's also when you get your biggest dopamine kick, right? You know, that moment of backs against the wall, got to make a change, got to do it, got to push forward, got to make it happen. And you get
And
that.
it's
Lovely.
not, yeah, it's not easy too. Like I feel like I just repeat myself, but it really is that simple. Like fail, and just keep going. Like I do really feel like I'm repeating myself in it, but not enough people. It does. Like I could say it so many times to people, but it doesn't go in. It doesn't enter the head, and it goes back to make the choice. Make the choice to listen to that person that might be trying to help you.
Absolutely. What's on your bucket list?
A lot. A lot.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years then?
It goes back to adventure. I love adventure. Bucket list, like anyone else, do maybe what skydive, what bungee jump. I want to go scuba diving. I want to race around the Nürburgring. I want to see the Northern Lights. I want to learn a new language. I want to visit a volcano. I want to visit the Niagara Falls. I want to see the Grand Canyon. I want to drive around the Route 66. I want to fly private just to see what's all the fuss is about. Run a marathon. Go rock climbing.
This is all next year, yeah?
Oh, next week. But no, it's just, as I say, I could do half of them stuff or I could do none of it, but set yourself the possibility of it. Don't hold yourself any limits. Like if I do a handful of them stuff, I'm going to be happy because it's going to be moments that I truly love. And it's like, do stuff that scares the life out of you.
What actions do you take today that actually do that? I mean, do you journal? Do you do gratitude? Do you mastermind? What actions do you take that?
Them ones right there, that's just kind of adventure stuff. When it goes back to ultimate goals, as I say, I love talking. I do want to start my own podcast. I hope they launch it next year. That is something I'm set on. Next year, I want to run a marathon. I want to run an ultra marathon. It's 40 miles because I've never run a marathon, but it just seems, I don't know, the ultra just sounds a bit more intimidating. So let's do it. Next year, I want to find my career path. That is my 3 number 1 goals. And I want to become Clan Wars champion by end of next year too in MMA.
4 great goals. That's 2021 sorted.
There's one thing I done for say 4 years now was I put too many goals and you trip yourself up. And it's one of the points where I would say I figured out this year. I set out too many goals. I just thought I would come out this year rocket ship, but 2020 has been a great year. A lot of learning this year anyway. But I achieved a good amount of the goals I set out. And I think it's important not to overcrowd yourself on so many goals. Have a select few and just attack them.
What will having the podcast mean to you?
I believe that gets that message out of choice. And I get to learn. Like this conversation, we will learn from each other, whatever it is. We might learn certain things, and it's that possibility that I love. You could have any person on here, and you could learn something from them, and it's having that openness to learn from someone, and I think that's so powerful.
What we learned from the marathon or the ultra marathon?
When you run, the most I've ever run was about 13 miles. When you run, it's all mental. It is truly mental. And I'll run till I break, and I don't think I can break. So even if I run until I do break, well, I know I've done better than I thought I would do. Like, when it goes to my mind, I truly believe in it. Like, I think I can do anything if I set my mind to it. And a marathon scares the life out of me. Like, I run like a train going down the tracks. I am not a runner in any sense, but let's do it. Like, it scares the life out of me, but let's do it. See, I love being in that uncomfortableness. I love doing things that like scare me, or maybe I might not think I'm good enough to do it, but I'll train for it. I'll do what it takes, and then I'll do it. Just show up.
So it's all about
Showing up.
And the MMA champion, what will that do for you?
I had my debut there in February, right on the time it was going to be a big moment for me mentally. I lost in the first round. I could have chose to say, oh no, this isn't for me, oh woe me type thing. But no, I went back. I said, no, the next person I go in there with is going to see someone that is comfortable, is going to, oh, I can't wait, Pete. That is something that goes back to, it was the one thing that excited me when I was younger, was martial arts, was being in the moment. There was one thing I truly took from that fight and the walkout. I was horrible backstage. I was a bundle of nerves. But see, when I eventually walked out and stepped in that cage, it was just, the crowd was there, but I heard nothing. It was just me. It was just, it felt so at home. It felt like silence. I was the center of the stage. Everyone's looking at me this time. I am being that outcast. I am being the person that, gee, look at him, I would never do that there type thing. Well, I am that person. I will do the things that more likely you won't do, because you won't make the choice to do it.
It does make you stand out, doesn't it?
I love, but I love being a leader. I do love leading by example. I want to be the person that I would say I didn't have. I want to be the motivation that maybe someone needed when they were younger, or whatever it takes for them to say, right, I'm going to be my best self. I'm going to love the skin I'm in. I don't care where I'm at right now. I'll eventually figure it out. I don't know yet, but I'll do it.
Fair play to you. Fair play.
Thank you.
What's your guilty pleasure?
I don't even know. It's playing Xbox. I don't know. Yeah.
Chocolate and computer games are generally surprisingly high up on the list.
Yeah, I would say so. I was 19 stone at one stage, so definitely food is one of my guilty pleasures. It used to be, but now it's a enjoyed type thing.
What triggered the weight loss?
Depression. In all honesty, it was just, eventually I just kind of stopped eating. Just like, I stopped eating as much, and eventually I just fell off. I was going through my teens anyway, like, so you're going to lose weight in your teens. You're going to put on a lot of weight in your teens. So eventually I just kind of fell off. I still have the stretch marks from it, but I love the stretch marks too. Like, I used to freak out. I would never have took my top off, because these are stretch marks. I would be like, oh no. But now, hey, I'm me.
Love it.
A lot of people kind of hold that thing from, say, self-harm, whatever, from cutting, whatever. They could be in that state where they don't want to show themselves, but own it. That kind of goes back to the thing. Own where you're at, own where you were, own yourself, own your feelings, own your emotions. Just own it.
Powerful. If you were to summarize your fire in the belly in one or two words, what would it be?
Couple words. That's a big ass, Pete. It just goes back to the word choice. Like for when it talks to findability, you have a choice to live your fire in the belly. Because a lot of people do know they're fire in the belly, but they're scared to make a jump at it. So commit to it.
Yeah. You mentioned you have a few questions you wanted to ask.
Did you always know where you were going in life?
No.
Yeah. And that's what, yeah.
I think like a lot of people, so I'm 41 now. And I openly say, and 37 and a half, it took me to find out, to get to that moment of, there's an expression, and it just resonates so strongly. And from even what you said is talking about, from great overwhelm comes great change. And that point of you standing on the bridge, I mean, if you were to be grateful for anything, is to have that realization at that age.
Yep.
But have the actual wisdom to do something about it.
Yeah, to make that choice. As I say, I could have pulled the oh woe me card and continued down it, but make the choice.
It is
So
making the choice.
why did you make the choice that you say at 37? Why did you?
And it resonates so strongly with what you're saying, is I got to the stage where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think as you get into your 30s and there's so much going on, and you have the mortgage or multiple mortgage, and then you've kids, and then you get to a point in your career. And for me, it was a realization. It was a mixture of the tail end of depression. But it was when you have all these plates spinning and all, you're juggling all these balls and so much is going on, but also it's the distance, it's the point when you are the greatest distance between who you truly are and who you are today, and that sort of gap. And you talk about, it's a great thing I love to talk about, and you hear is mind the gap. And that gap is who people think you are and who you truly are. Are you the warrior in the cage, or are you the person that's being nice and pleasing other people? And it's the closer you are and the smaller that gap, the closer you are to being, I don't think anyone is truly who they are, because that, there's so much nakedness and so much vulnerability there that actually as a human, I don't know that we can actually, we can cope for it, because it just takes the next level of understanding and things like that. So for me, I was at a point when the gap was at its greatest, who I wanted, and I was lost. And yet the responsibilities of life were piling on, thick and deep, so, and that's when you need to be at your strongest. And yet that's the point when you feel your weakest, because you're sitting there scratching your head and going, I'm 37 and a half. I should have my shit together. I should know what's going on. I should, people are looking at me to make decisions. I'm statistically coming to the midpoint of my life. And yet I'm sitting here going, I don't know what I want to do.
So you decided to go on that journey of self-discovery, I would say.
It's at that point, and there's one thing, and I literally got to a point. I'm missing a tooth here on my right, and it came all to one point, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting on the side of my bed, just rocking backwards and forwards with the pain, and that sort of rocking backwards and forwards, and it just was this thing. And if you've ever had toothache, it's just a pain in your head that you'd almost get a hammer out and just to get rid of the pain and just knock your own tooth out. And that's pretty much what happened. Within 24 hours, that tooth was out of my mouth. And it was almost like a boil or a pimple. It's almost like all the badness collects together. And like, the dentist was horrified that I'd pretty much said, this is an ultimatum. You either take, and this was 2 days before Christmas. So my normal dentist wasn't around. It was a locum dentist that had sort of managed to squeeze me in, and said, you've got a 15-minute slot. Yes. Okay. We can do something. We can sort of ease your pain, and then we'll get back and see you in 2 weeks' time. And that was like saying to somebody, I don't know, if you are standing on the side of the bridge, do you mind if I just take this phone call and come back to you going, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And I literally was at that point and going, okay, either you take the tooth out or I take it out.
Yeah.
And she thought I was joking. I was like going, I am deadly serious. One of two
Yep.
things is happening today. Either you're doing it or I am.
Yep, this tooth is coming out one way or another.
So he's looking at me going, I have no time, Madara. You know, it takes time, takes this. And says, I don't care. I says, I'll go back to what I've just said. Either you're taking it or I am. About 12 minutes later, the tooth was out. I had to sign the waiver. He says, I don't agree with this. I don't know this. But he says, I know you're not joking. It's like going, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
And that, in many ways, was my turning point.
Tell me this, how would you describe your own fire in the belly?
It's so many things. It's when you're Googling at 2 o'clock in the morning, when you keep going when everyone else is going, you're crazy. It's when you just don't stop. You are continuous, relentless. You're constantly thinking about it, going for it, you know, highlighting books, reading this. And it's, for me, it's so much bigger than me. It's, I mean, you know, I believe it's, you know, Fire in the Belly is an institution. You know, it's just, I happen to be the one that has sort of put the flag in the sand and saying, you know, this is a concept. I believe if you are alive and breathing, you know, if your heart is pumping and there's breath in your lungs, I believe you have fire in the belly.
Yeah,
You know, whether you are about to jump off a bridge, whether you are jumping on stage and speaking to thousands of people in your flow and your prime, both have fire in the belly, I believe.
Yeah.
The difference being is how it's being applied, at what level. Is it a roaring inferno, or is it a little flame off in the distance?
Yeah, a little amber.
You know.
Do you have any like resources you used along the way? You say 37, you started to figure things out. Do you have any like books or anything like that there that maybe helped you along the way?
There's so much. I mean, like you said, I could count on one hand up until about 3 years ago. I count on one hand the number of books I had read in probably about 10 years. You know, I went to university and listen, I sort of managed to fudge my way through that and all. And, you know, I said, listen, I'm done learning, me, school, university, whatever. I'm done. We've gone our separate ways and I'll never be back. But when it's sort of gone, that point, you know, that point of sort of losing a business and, you know, sitting there with a missing tooth and all this, and you're going, my formula's wrong. I couldn't work any harder. I've got people relying on me. You know, physically I'm in bits, mentally I'm in bits, you know, and yet the attitude was, you know, and that's just my upbringing as well, was, you know, the harder you work, the better you do.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, I can't work any harder. So it was a number of things that happened in my life. So going to Tony Robbins, the UPW, 2017 that was the start. A number of things had already started to shift, you know, doing some life coaching. And I had always coached through my, you know, through my sort of professional career, if you like, because I had a very successful, you know, professional career. And this is the thing. It's not what I loved, but it was just what I was very good at.
Which
you know?
was the
Construction. So, I mean, project management. So I worked in London for just under 10 years. Worked in a lot of the big banks, a lot of, you know, Barclays, HSBC, BBC, you know, a lot of clients that people would bend over backwards to do. And yet I was there. It didn't mean a whole lot. And that's probably why I was quite good. I just went in, did what I had to do. I just saw it for what it was. And this is the thing with an ADHD person. It's quite often, and I didn't even know my sort of ADHD tag only arrived with me about 20 months ago. It's not long, you know. So yet I had managed to put all these things into place, you know, and I had brought in all my own. You know, I kind of wish I'd known earlier, because, you know, now I've actually gone back and gone, I need to learn how I learn, and so few people don't, you know how they learn. So if you want to, you know, if you want me to learn something quickly, show me. I can do it. You know, don't leave me with a book, you know, because I just won't read it.
I'm the exact same.
You know,
you learn by practical stuff, seeing it in front of you. Yeah.
So 3 years ago there, you know, I was introduced to Audible. You know, and listen, it doesn't matter any audiobooks, it doesn't really matter, Spotify, the whole thing. I went through 70 books in the first year. And this is somebody who had read one book in, like I say, the last prior 5-10 years. But I suddenly worked that actually, you know what, when I'm walking, I can listen. When I'm in the car, I can listen. I can turn off the TV, I can listen. I can, you know, and just constantly listening, 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 listening. Now, is it as effective as sitting down and reading and writing and doing all that? No, it's not. And you know, I'd say that, but you know what? I can listen to the book 2 or 3 times in a fraction of the time it would take me to read it. You
Yep.
know, I actually run a reading group, which actually means I'm turning my weakness into a strength. Going, I won't read this on my own, so I need a reading group. So I formed a reading group, and then suddenly it's everyone's accountable, and we take a page or 2 pages each, and we, you know, so suddenly my weakness is my strength. So you know, there's all that, and I'm becoming obsessed. I do, you know, not everyone, a lot of people I work with don't know their passion or know what their fire in the belly is, but if you treat yourself as your own fire in the belly, go on, you know, and you've said so many things here is, you know, your fire in the belly is being yourself. How can I be the best person I can be? You know, there's an expression, we're all sort of souls in a meat tube.
Maybe.
And I love it, you know, or a meat suit. And it's true, it's like, you know, our capacity and our potential is huge. And yet we get so hung up on the day-to-day stuff. But
Yep.
you know, if you do nothing more than saying, well, okay, whilst I'm trying to find my why, my passion, my mantra, my gift, my, you know, whatever it is, well, how about you just immerse yourself in every bit of reading? You learn, every person you meet, learn something from them. It might be that you learn, oh God, I never want to talk to them again. It might be that you learn that they mentioned a book. You know, Think and Grow Rich is a great book.
Yeah.
Psycho-Cybernetics, great book. I mean, listen, I've got a stack of about 50 books here in front of me, and there's so many things, but you only have a right to an opinion if you've tried it. You know, there's so many people I even had around me that going, oh, why would you read that book? Or no, that's, you know, that's a bit of a cult. I mean, you want to see what a cult looks like in some ways. Tony Robbins, 11,000 people in a room, all high five and high energy and all the rest. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people say that's a cult, you know, and, but you know what? If it is, sign me up. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because when you get 11,000 people that want to make a difference in their life, you know, and there's a woman I met, and you know, and it was a massive shift for me, and I still get goosebumps when I think about it. And it was the first year she was there, and I met her, a lady, and she was in mid-50s, and she was a Norwegian lady, because that's what you do. I mean, through the day you do these different exercises, and so paired up with this lady, and it was basically 3 things you want to change in your life. So for her, you know, and as you do, it's quite a noisy environment. So she said to me, you know, I said, right, well, you go first. You know, what are the 3 things? So first thing says, I want to learn to trust men. Okay, that's fairly open statement. It says, can I ask why? And the next words changed my life in terms of, she just said, my husband killed my 2 children. And at that point, it's almost like going, did I just hear this? And still to this day, and going, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
She's crying, I'm crying, everything else, and you know, and you're like, where do you go? Where do you go with that? You know, and it's the 15-minute gap we had to do this exercise of 3 things. She wanted to change 3 things. I want to change. You know, that just all just disappeared. You know, and she was just the enormity, and you know, it was 7 years prior, so that's now whatever 10 years, you know, since then, 11 years since then, and it's such a leveler. And then she, you know, sort of says just before, because they're saying, right, you need to wrap up, and she says, oh, you haven't told me, what about your stuff? And I'm sitting here shredding my piece of paper, going, do you know what? My problems are gone. Thank you. You know, it's perspective, right?
And what I heard from that is she owns it. As much as how crazy the story is, she owns it. She owns everything about it, and she's on the path. It sounds like she's willing to trust again. That's huge there. She says, I want to figure out how to trust a man again. That is huge. She's willing to do that. And it's beautiful. That's why I love hearing from other people.
It's, as you say, I mean, just, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. You really don't. You don't know what's going on in someone's head. You know, and here by the grace of God, I mean, literally, it's everyone's, and you hear that people, who are having different things going on in their life, and yet, they just, it's the choices are is what we do with things that are going on.
Are you full time in this?
More or less now, yeah. Well, I do generally 2 days a week recording, so typically, Monday, Tuesday, and half Wednesday. Ironically, with the podcast, we we release 3 a week, and yet I would probably record anywhere between 10 and 15 episodes a week. So you can see there's a slight mismatch
Backlog.
between what we do and what we can do, but that's how relentless I am. So someone gave me some advice and said, how about you just do a bit less? And that's a bit like me saying, Declan, how about you stop reading those books?
Yeah.
Just kind of going, you just don't get me. You think I'm going to stop?
You've
that
no idea type
passion.
thing.
It is. The thing is kind of going, I want to learn why someone, and you talked about at the start, why does some person get up, turn off the alarm clock, or they don't even get up, they just roll over and go back to sleep? What separates them? I had a great privilege of meeting Grant Cardone last year. Listen, his background and how he's achieved what he has, there's different people's opinions, but on the very face of it, you take somebody there that was 40, or I think it was 40 or 41 years of age, had next to nothing. The man's now 62. I believe he has a personal wealth in the region of $650 million. He has a
2 billion in properties or something.
He has a 60 million or a 60-year 60-year business plan. So he says, I'll be long gone, but my business plan will continue. That's how strong his why, his strategy, his passion, his intention. That's how far out it is. Will that plan change? Of course it will. Listen, he's brazen. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but you can't fault the man for focus. You can't fault the man for being, absolutely determined and putting it out there. Like I say, it doesn't matter. We're not we're not all everyone's cup of teas, and that's okay. But you know what? The man is putting his neck on the line. He's pushing himself out there, and for that very reason, just, sometimes even with you talking, that is enough to give someone permission to go, God, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I've been feeling that, and I thought it was just me. Me hitting 40 and meeting Grant and kind of going, he was only getting started. And that's actually, I'm at that stage now when he was getting started, and fast forward 20 years, that's where I could be. And I've just shook the man's hand and we're doing all this, and it's a great leveler. And I have a pretty big property goal.
That's what I was actually going to go on to next, was property.
So
how did you get into it? What is your pathway there?
I started in property 20 years ago. It's 21 years ago now. And do you know what? Sometimes we do stuff and it's so simple. And how did it start? I fell backwards in, like a scuba diver off a boat. You just do what you do. You go back in. Do you know what you're doing? Not really. But super simple in terms of, someone said to me, it's like Monopoly. The house is this price, the mortgage is that price, and the rent is that. And it's just simple math. So as long as the rent covers the mortgage and there's a bit left over, that's business, right? And that's exactly what I did, is kind of going, well, I didn't know all the, like a lot of things, we didn't know all the risks, all the potential pitfalls and all the rest. You just kind of go, well, it makes sense. I mean, I think the rent was £480 a month. The mortgage was like £260 or £280 or £300 a month. All I need to just go is collect the rent, pay the mortgage. And that's the best piece of advice. I went through a recession just doing that. Collect the rent, pay the mortgage, collect the rent, pay the mortgage, do all that. Manage your risk, do all that, and it just spiraled. It literally went, within 5 years, it's built it up to just over 20 odd properties. Sold a couple, things were going on there. But bear in mind, this was a part-time job. That was not my main thing.
And your main thing was the
developer? Really, yeah, sort of really being in terms of project manager was my best. My sort of title as such. But it was that thing where I just didn't know any better. No, I sacrificed a lot. I would see friends and mates and all that. They'd be out drinking on a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. I was coming home and I was painting walls. I was working over the weekend. I was, paying suppliers, viewing houses, meeting tenants, doing all that. And through the 20s and 30s, and people were going, you need to live a bit too, and it's like going, yeah, I do. I was obsessed though. You know, I was going in. I mean, you look now and you know, actually at 37 and a half, that was the other thing, is pretty much I can go, well, I'm retired, you know? And that's the weird thing. It was kind of almost, I now do things because I want to. That's the difference. I don't do
Brilliant.
things because I have to, you know, and it's quite something.
Have you developed enough passive income where you feel like you're, as you say, you're free and you could just do what you want at that point now?
Yeah, I mean,
But you want to continue to grow, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels of, you know, financially free is one thing. So that's when you have, you know, enough to live. Now, can I go out, you know, some of my goals are massive, that I would be buying a house a month and doing all sorts of things like that. You know, I am not at that level yet. And there's that good old word, you know, but there's so much. But one thing I loved about making grants, so I set out a profile of where, you know, for my lifetime of where I wanted to be in terms of the number of properties and things like that. And almost through a misunderstanding, Grant says, "Oh, next year," and I was like, "Going, no." So my big goal, and I'll say it here, I don't mind, is 1,000 properties. You know, I was kind of going, this is what I pretty much want to roll out over the next 10 plus years. You know, 1,000 properties, and you know, it's like, even that sort of gets me slightly cold sweats. And he's going, so, oh, cool, you're doing that next year? And I was like, no. And I was like, that's 10 years. And he's going, man, it's like, how do you live with yourself? It's like, and whether it's because he has what he has and all the rest, it's suddenly kind of going, why would you not just do this in a year?
Yeah.
It's so weird when somebody from that status says something to you and just going, why don't you just do it? You know, Declan, why don't you just set up your podcast now? Why don't you just get on and do it?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
It's kind of that, his thing is what, 10x? It's kind of just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And, you know, if you sat out and you're going, and like, if I only get to, you know, if I only got to 200 properties, you know, you kind of, yeah, it's probably more than 99.9% of the population.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also, be careful who you're listening to, because 99.9999% of the population don't have portfolios like that. They have opinions, but they don't have that. So being your strongest self and understanding your passion and where you want to be, that's key. Absolutely key.
What's one thing you wish you knew before you get started in property?
Do more.
Just do more.
Do more. It's
love that.
It's, you know, and that's the thing, is just know who you're around and who you're reflecting off. So many times there that, you know, I would have been, you know, hanging back, and I didn't know, you know, it's get yourself, education's cheap. And I'd say that for anything. You know, reading a book is seriously cheap. You know, there's things, and I was lucky enough, and I had a you know, good people around me that, you know, where I was very sort of well advised. You know, and you say luck, I mean, I don't believe a whole lot in luck. It's things
hate the word luck. So many people said to me, "Oh, you have no luck, hey, you have no luck." I was like, I don't believe luck is just circumstance. That's, yeah.
It's so funny you say that, because if you, in my mid to late 30s or 20s, even into my 30s, if you had said to me, God, you know, you're so lucky, you know, because I literally, at work, I didn't tell people about the property and things like that, because I had more, you know, more property, a lot more property than any of my managers, my sort of, you know, sort of superiors.
Yeah, higher ups.
You know, and people say, oh, it's okay for you, or you're just lucky, or you were gifted it, or you were given it. You want to see me go off in a rage? That pushed my buttons. You know, that's a bit like me, you know, saying to anyone, it's like, well, sure, listen, sure, Declan, yeah, it's his story's not really true. Sure, he had it handed to him. It's the biggest slap. But you know what I learned? I mean, simple things like I would stop telling people about it, because I would come to a pay rise, and my manager once said to me, so what do you need a pay rise? Yeah. And you're kind of going, I actually need it more than you do, because my goals are that big. Every penny of this is getting reinvested. Everything is, but what it did show is focus and determination. Listen, I didn't even know what I was doing then. I just led by passion, and, you know, just more houses, more belief. You know, that every property meant a bit more property, more profit. A bit more profit meant another house, and another house meant another thing. And you kind of going, right, well, okay, well, frankly, if you own 1 or 2 or 3 properties, you might as well own 10. You might as well own 20. You might as well own 30. In fact, it gets easier as you scale up, because bigger buffers, bigger buying power and all the rest, so yeah, just keep going. That's the thing. I stopped investing in 2005. I didn't start again until 2017. So
do you invest in lots of property, like lots, say like a 8 lot estate type thing, or do you just individuals?
typically individuals. So my investment strategy is super simple. So I typically will purchase 2 or 3 bed mid terrace properties in
So all residential type stuff.
all residential. It's not to say that I won't expand. However, the yield. So I work on 2 factors. So one is a gross yield of 10%. So if quite simply, if the property rents at £500 a month, which is £6,000 a year, I basically want to buy that property for 60,000. So that's 10%. So yeah, so you buy it at 60,000. You want to be earning 10% of that back every year. So it's £6,000, £500 a month rent. You apply that formula to most of the properties in Northern Ireland, you'll find you can only get that in certain key areas. However, the average property out there is probably getting 6 or 7% yield, and yet you will give off 3 or 4% to the mortgage company. You'll give another 1% to the letting agent. You'll give, so basically people are making next to no profit, and they'll sort of say, oh, well, listen, it's a long-term thing anyway. It's going on that and going, if you want a long-term thing, go and get an investment, go and get a savings account, go and get an ISA, so the money is made in the buying. You want to be making money year on year. I also want to have my money out of the property within 3 years. So because you can, listen, no matter who you are, Warren Buffett,
the property value will go up and you can just exit out and go into another deal type thing.
Well, I generally only use a growth formula of 2%. So I assume we're going to see very little or very minimal growth. So you either need to buy it at a discount or you need to add value. So adding value could be changing a 2-bed into a 3-bed.
Upgrading the kitchen, stuff like that. Just
yeah. So it could be, there's an expression in the property world and saying, you're buying something that's undervalued. So if the expression being is, if it smells of we, think of me. Okay. And which is a great expression because people are so used to now, they don't have the vision to see what they want to buy. So what they tend to do is they'll go into a property and go, God, it smells a bit funny in here. They'll go down the road and there's a brand new kitchen and new carpets and it looks lovely and all the rest. And they'll pay another £20,000 and they'll go, thank you. Yes, this is exactly what we wanted. I go in and know that I can have those carpets on a skip in 20 minutes. We can have the smell of wee gone within 5 days and the new kitchen can be done. And I can do all that for under £10,000.
Yep.
And I can then sell it on for £20,000 more than I bought it. There you go. So that's the difference. Yet I tell all the people my formula, and yet, I'm not big in the more than most, but not as much as many. But that's a formula that works for me, and it's simple, and it allows me to sit here and talk to you today without, duress or anything else.
What advice would you give to someone that's possibly wanting to pursue a career in property investing? Education.
There's so much, and this goes for everything, whether it's personal development or whatever. First thing is develop your passion. It's absolutely, read the books, speak to people. Some people do pick up the phone to me and saying, can I have a chat? Can I buy a coffee? And the answer is generally always yes. Come in, there's 7 types of strategy. So it doesn't matter if you're starting off with nothing, you're starting off with everything. Do you know, it's actually easier when you're starting with nothing, because generally it's easier to start with a blank page than it is to start off with, people quite often say, I have a bit of equity here or something else, whereas you go, I'm coming with nothing, but I want everything. Okay, cool. We can do that. So generally people have 1 or 3 things. They've either got time, they've got knowledge, or they've got money. So when you're going to have people with money, but have no time and no knowledge. So at that point you go on, I need to pair up with you because I've got time or I have knowledge. So whenever you have that triangle, you understand who's bringing what to the table. So I'm now at the stage when, yes, I have more time and I have plenty of knowledge, but I necessarily might go, well, listen, I don't want to invest any more of my money, my own money, because my investment strategy is I'm going to invest like crazy for the next 10 years. And then after, from the age of 50 to 60, I will just take the foot off the pedal and we will basically pay down a lot of our debts. We will reduce it all down. And my days are done then. It's kind of going, yeah, it's fine. That's a monthly income till I die, I can then hand the keys over to the next generation or whatever it is, which I probably won't. I'll probably just dispose the whole thing, because handing over to generations can be messy too.
Yeah.
You know, I'd almost say I'd rather, you know, rather you invest in your education, wealth, will give you all the experience and knowledge that you want, but fly your own flag too.
Yeah,
you know?
love it.
You know, so hope that's interesting. Hope it's useful.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I wanted.
There you go. Declan, it's been fantastic talking to you today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Pete. I loved every bit of it.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being here and present. So, and until the next time, thank you.
See ya.